So hey there everybody, and finally, now we're going to be talking about real programming with if statements. So basically an if statement is going to help you be able to check for conditions and if certain things meet certain criteria and stuff like that. So now the first thing I want to show you is how to basically use an if statement. So you can do like if true, and here I can just say print yes. So obviously this is going to print yes because I'm saying if true. So what I'm trying to say exactly is anything you put inside here should evaluate to true before anything in here is going to run. So first of all, let me just run this. You get to see yes. So now if I say if false, this is not going to print yes. It's just going to end the code. Let's get a bit more advanced. As you can see here, even if you hover around here, you can see this code is unreachable because PyCharm knows that this is false and it will never ever get to this point. Oh well. Now, for example, I can just say username, and for example, I'm just going to collect it from the user. So now I'm going to just say enter your name and a colon and a space. Then over here, I'm going to say if username equal to Davis, okay, so D in capital letter, anyways, or let me just make this a small letters. Then I can print yes. Okay, so if the username you enter is Davis, then I can print yes. I can also, just to make this a bit more dynamic, I can do dot lower. So whenever we get the inputs, just change it to a lowercase so that even if I give Davis in capital letters, it's still going to allow us. So if I just run this now, and here I can just use Davis, one capital letter there. If I hit enter, you can see it printed yes. The reason for that is because the username here is equal to Davis. So remember, this is equal to, not just one equal to. One equal to is not going to work. As you can see, we have an error. So now, remember when I said whatever is inside here has to evaluate is true? Yes, that's what I'm going to talk about now. So now you can see username equal to Davis. Is the username equal to Davis? Anytime you have a an if function, or sorry, an if statement, I want you to try and understand the code. Okay, so first of all, whatever you're putting in here has to be true before whatever is down here will run. So now let's change this. Okay, so I can just say enter your name, the lower yes, and I can say if len of the username, that's the length of the username, is, let's say, less than, I think, 5, then we can print username to short. So that's quite nice. If I run this now and I put something like DAV, as you can see, we have username too short. But if I print something like DAVIES, you can see it doesn't print out anything. So yes, it doesn't print out anything. But what if we wanted to print out something? We can use the else statement. As you can see, we just have an else statement and a colon. I recommend you follow exactly what I'm doing here. These colons are very important. So now, over here on the else statement, I can do print username is of good length. So now if I run this, you're going to see we have enter your name. If I just put something longer than 5 characters, you can see username is of good length. So now essentially what the else is doing is basically saying, as long as the if statement doesn't work out, go to the else. Okay, so you may be saying this is the same thing as just putting the print statement here like this, because either way it's still going to work. Anyways, yes, it's going to work, but for some cases, but not all cases, that is going to work nicely. Anyways, let me show you something else called the else if, or in Python I'll say the elif statement. So now as you can see, we have if the length of the username is less than 5. Okay, then I can say elif. So elif is basically saying if this condition is not met, go to the next one. Okay, so I can say print, sorry, elif len of username is, I think, greater than 10, then I think is equal to 5, and I can just print username is 5 characters. Okay, just like 5 characters. So if I run this now, let's do DAVIE, because that's 5. You can see username is 5 characters. Definitely the username was not less than 5. So after I checked this, he ignored it and went to the next if statement. So that's what the elif is doing. Okay, so if this is not met, it will go to the next one and it will do whatever is inside here, and it's going to ignore the else because something, one condition has been met. Okay, so now let's dive deeper a little bit. Here I can do if username is greater than 5, let's just say it's too long, I guess. So now as you can see, we have if it's greater than 5, it's too long. Then actually I'm going to make this a 3. So let's say if it's greater than 3, it's too long. Then if it's equal to 5, the username is 5 characters. What I want to show you now is if I run this, I can put DAVIE. Notice that this is 5 characters, but it's greater than 3. That means it's going to only print this one out. Okay, so when it prints this one out, it's going to ignore every other Elif statements inside. Sorry, I forgot to mention you can have more than one Elif statement. So you can have Elif here, LEN, username, blah blah blah, anything you want. But what I'm just trying to say is that after taking the first if statement, okay, it has seen that this is correct. It ignores every other thing, including the else statements at the end. Also, don't try to put two else statements because you cannot have two else statements in one if block. So one last thing about these conditions or anything is that there are two keywords, okay, or and. So both of them are being used with like the true or false. So this actually follows your typical logic gate, and as you can see, true or true gives you a true, which means if one is true or one is true, it should evaluate to true. Then same thing, true or false. So if it's true, as long as there's a true in here and you're using the or, it's going to give you a true. So here we have false or false, which will be false. Then for the and statement, okay, you can have true and true, which is true, but true and false is false. Why exactly? They're asking, is this first, should I say condition or anything, is it evaluating to true? And also, is the next one evaluating to true? So true and false is equals to false. Let me just run this here so that you can see for yourself. And if I drag this up, you should see, if you actually look at it one after the other, you should see that it corresponds with what I wrote up here. Okay, so now this may sound so abstract and so cute and look like gibberish, but let's now implement this in actual code. So now we can have something like an if statement, and here we can say if, let's say, 3 is greater than 10, okay, then we want to print math is wrong. Okay, so now you should say that, okay, this is never going to happen, yeah, because 3 is greater than 10. This exactly here, this here is evaluating to false, so math cannot be wrong, I guess. Not only that, after this condition, we can say or 5 is greater than 10. So now, if this or this is true, then the math is going to be wrong. So now if we run this now, nothing is going to happen. You can see process finished because none of these are evaluating to true. Both of them are false. And if you remember in the video, I said false or false is false. So now if we change this and say 5 less than 10, okay? And if we run this, you should see math is wrong, because now this is going to evaluate to a false, but this is going to evaluate to a true. So false or true is true. Now you can do the same thing with the and keyword. And if you put and in here now, you can see nothing is going to be printed out. Okay. The reason for that is this one here is evaluating to false, but this one here is true. So false and true is false. If you want this code to run here, you can just say 3 less than 10, and we say math is correct. Now if we run this, since both of them are evaluating to true, then true and true is true. Hopefully you can get your head around that. Also, I want to say you can actually save these kind of things in variables. So we can just say var equals to, and if you want to print var, you're going to see it's going to give you a true or false value. I don't know if it's going to be true. Yeah, it's true, because 3 is less than 10 and 5 is less than 10. So you can actually do a lot of stuff in here. Anyways, there's one last one which I didn't mention, but I've mentioned it before if I'm not mistaken, and it's the not keyword. Okay, so not is basically like invert of anything you put. So if you say not true, this is going to evaluate to false. If you say not false, that'll be evaluated to true. Simple. Here we can say age equals to like 10, and let's say not age less than 18. Okay, so we can put this in a variable is adult and say equal to this, and also we can now say if is adult, and you can put something inside here. That's what I'm just trying to say, that you can play around with all this. You must not put it in a variable. You can actually just put it from here directly inside the if statement. And also remember, you can do is if not age less than 18, and you can now put an and keyword here and say like age is less than 16, I guess. Then you can put something inside here, play around with it and see if it's actually going to happen rationally. I'm not sure. I think this not is going to cover for just not age less than 18. So if this is evaluated to a true, it's turned to a false, and you say false and whatever this is, whether a true or a false. So with all that said, this is actually a crucial concept and you need to understand it. So let's go on to the next one.